Today I am going to talk to you about interview questions. Many people have done interview questions and they have told you how to answer them. Now, if you just listen to the videos and you go there, you will freeze out of nervousness. What I would say is write down what you are going to say and read it a few times so that you don't have to memorize it, but you definitely have to read it a few times so that you don't stumble and you don't get nervous. So, the most common question, and a lot of people have done this, is the question, tell me about yourself. This is supposed to be a tricky question because they are not really interested in you. Neither are they keen on knowing much about you because it's already there in the CV that you have sent. So, they have called you for the interview after knowing that you have certain qualifications and you have experience or you have qualities, whatever. So, they are not really asking you to tell them more about what is written in the CV. So, what are they asking for? They are basically trying to see how confident you are. They are trying to see if your fluency in the language is good, whether you have presence of mind, whether you can put something across in a brief and succinct manner. They are trying to find out if you fit their job and their company culture. That's what they are trying to find out. They are not asking about your personal history. So, you have to keep that very brief. So, you basically give them your name because that's an introduction. You can't just start talking about your achievements straight away. So, you have to say, my name is Usha Pandit or I am Usha Pandit and I have qualified in education by doing an MA and an MEd. Or you can say the degrees that I have done are, it doesn't matter. You have to very briefly tell them what you have qualified in. Now, you may or may not have experience in a job, but if you are a fresher, you can talk about your achievements and your experiences in college. So, you can say you were awarded with something, you organized, you led, you took part in something. That is a good way of telling them that you were a very active member of a group. If you have held any positions like being the president of the college committee, you can say that. Those are good ways of telling them that you have exhibited leadership qualities or organized people or your team skills are good. This is what they want to hear. So, tell them that very briefly. Additionally, you can talk about the courses that you did that are relevant to the job. So, you might say that I did a creative writing course by the Mindsprings company, or you might talk about workshops that you did in questioning skills or in critical thinking. These are very important and good. A lot of people end with hobbies, and the hobbies are said in such a way, they say, I love cooking, singing, reading, which are like very vague and very esoteric. I mean, it doesn't matter who really cares about what you do in your free time in that interview space. Instead of saying that, I'll tell you a nice way to say it. So, you say, I enjoy cooking, especially creating new recipes. It tells them that you're a creative person. You can say, I am intrigued by crime fiction because of the problem solving in them. It excites me. This tells them that you're a problem solver. Or you might want to talk about a sport and tell them how it teaches you team skills or how it makes your mind sharper because you play chess. Something like that, that will give them some qualities to think about when you talk about your hobbies. So, this is what I mean by don't just parrot things and say them. in order to say one piece. Think about what you're saying, and each sentence that you say must contain a quality that they can think about. Then your introduction to tell me who you are becomes brilliant, and it's different from other people, and that is what will make you stand out. The second question that you are often asked is, why did you choose this profession? Here again, people will give you standard answers. I chose this profession because I'm passionate about teaching. I love children. I want to serve society. Everybody will say this kind of line. So how can you be different? How can you stand out? That is what I want you to think about. So talk about a trigger that made you choose this. So a trigger can be anything. It can be a speech that you heard in your college days by Dr. Abdul Kalam, who came in and talked about, take a quote from the speech and put it in. Or a book that you read, or a particular film about a teacher that inspired you. Or you can talk about an incident or an anecdote where there were slum children, or your maid's child who came in to ask you for help one day with math, and you taught that child, and it made you realize what an amazing profession teaching is. This is different, it's real, it's got a certain story that is attached to it, and it makes it authentic. So that's a good way to say why you chose this profession. It's heartwarming, right? The third one that they are likely to ask you could be something like, what is your view on discipline? This again is a tricky question, because discipline, people often take a hard stand. Yes, everyone should be disciplined. If children are not disciplined, we cannot teach them. I will expect children to be extremely disciplined in class. I will make sure that everyone is aware of the rules. I will enforce the rules. You talk like this, you haven't given it much thought. So how can you be different? This video is all about how you can be different so that you stand out, right? So when you talk about discipline, what is discipline? So discipline is self-control. Discipline is about boundaries that make you feel safe. So when you want to enforce any discipline in the class, ideally it must come from my students. So what would I say? I would say that when I make rules for the class, I will expect children to participate and talk to me about what rules they would like for their classroom. I would like them to think about a good classroom can operate in chaos, or should a good classroom have a certain amount of silence? How can we interrupt one another? What sort of rules should we bring to homework? What kind of communication do they want with me to tell me that certain things are hard for them? So can I leave the lines of communication open so that discipline is maintained without me being the dragon? That is the big question. To me, discipline is what comes from within the children, and if I can produce that in them, I think that's my idea of a good disciplined class. It's an answer that nobody can deny, nobody can say is faulty, and at the same time, you have not given them the answer that everybody gives. One of the questions that people ask you that often floor interviewees is, why should we hire you? So it's like, you can't say because I'm the best, right? You can't do that, because that would be boasting, that would be arrogance, and that would be foolish because you are not really experienced to say that. So therefore, please be very careful, don't use any superlatives. At the same time, you don't have to be tongue-tied and say, I'm not sure if I'm good, or may the best man win. You don't have to go like this either. What you can tell them is the truth. You can tell them, because I'm a learner, because I'm a seeker, and I'm somebody who's going to grow with your institution. You should hire me because I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to observe and to seek help. I'm not afraid to partner you in the changes that you want to bring in this institution. And I think I will work very hard. I will also work very smart. That is why you should hire me. Again, it's an answer that most people will not give. They are not likely to say any of this, and therefore you are likely to win that round. Let me look at another question which could be on pedagogy. What is your teaching style? What is your pedagogical philosophy? This kind of questions are often asked for them to see what sort of teaching, learning is going to happen in your class. What is your attitude towards communicating content? What are your priorities? This is what they are trying to look at. So what do you say? You want children to be participating in the classroom. Ideally, you want children to discover. You want children to question. You want children to think critically. These are your reasons why you will do certain activities in the classroom, which will encourage and facilitate these discoveries in children. You want children to be autonomous, so you will make them practice skills. Once you have taught, they have seen a mentor text, you will allow them to practice so that they become better at it. You will allow them to inquire. So you will teach them such skills. You will show them how to approach a text or a civilization or a landscape so that they are able to do it on their own. Eventually, you want them to be independent. Brilliant answer. Again, you will find that people will not give this kind of answers to interview questions, and that will help you to win that round. There is one more question that is often asked, which is, what are your strengths and weaknesses? And here people try to give one word strengths and one word weaknesses, which really does not say anything, because it just means you took some words off the top of your head and then you put it on the table. Instead of that, when you talk about strengths, one of the strengths, good strengths that a teacher can have is the ability to listen, the ability to take criticism positively, to ask for feedback. These are some of the very good qualities, because even if you have weaknesses, you are not afraid to talk about it to somebody who is watching you. That's a very, very big quality. You might want to talk about your ability to take risks, to seek help. These are big traits that you have. Of course, there is love for children, which has brought you into this profession, to correct yourself, to work towards a child's progress, to keep the child at the center. These are some of the winners when you talk about strengths, and they are general enough. The weaknesses, you need to use language like, I struggle with, I fight the tendency to, I need help in better quality. What you are basically saying is that all of us are flawed and we struggle with things and we seek help to make it better. Now you can decide what your weaknesses are. Your weaknesses can be procrastination, your weakness can be something like you struggle with good planning. Because you're a new teacher, you might have several anxieties, and you can put 2 or 3 of these down with this kind of stem sentences. That will tell people that you are not only aware that there are flaws, but you are willing to work on it. Let's look at the final question on salary. That might be a question that throws you, because very often a lot of people don't even know what salaries are like in certain institutions. Now, salary should not be your goal if you are going in for your first job. So, what should it be? Common sense will tell you that your first goal should be growth. You should be going in there so that you can meet real teachers, senior teachers, you can see how a school runs, you can experience the variety of children, you can experience challenges in the classroom. That is why you are joining that profession. In the first few years, that's what you should be looking at self-improvement. Will the school allow me to grow? Will they send me to training workshops? Will they give me feedback? These are some of the expectations that you have from the institution that you can put down for this question. Not talk about money. You are also saying salary is important and it is a benchmark of the kind of progress that I am making. I would want the institution to give me positions of power in the long run and to guide me to reach those places. It's a brilliant answer. So, you have said many things there without actually talking about money as being the biggest factor in taking up the job. If you have these questions in your pocket, as I said, write them down, read carefully, think about them, put your own personal touch and flavor to it, not what I told you, but what is it about you that is special, and I am sure you will win any interview in the future. So, good luck. On this channel, you will find 350 videos, and that will inform you well about several aspects of learning. So, do take a look at those also. Good luck.